Thank you, Dr. Baltu, for just adding me into BGRF as well as International Conference of Hinduism, Management and Philosophy. I'm thankful to the management and members of the organization. I'm thankful to the viewers and audience who will be listening me for some time. And at the same time, I'm thankful to all that my gurus who have just poured a lot into me. My topic has been told by Dr. Palto that it is Krishna is person, personality, psychology, spiritual therapy, psychotherapy. As I see Krishna, very fascinating. Many facets, many forms, many rupas, many dimensions. If I look at him, somewhere he is dancing as Ras Leela, somewhere he is a Makhan Chor or the butter thief, somewhere he is a playful lad in the streets of Gokul, somewhere he is Eve teaser of gopis, somewhere he is a stubborn boy, somewhere he is a smiling face and naughty and casual. But no one talks of something which is very, very important about Krishna. He has got many dimensions of personality, as I told. I would like to just bring to notice the diplomatic vision of Krishna, political aptitude of Krishna, a political leader, emissary, then rebellion, warrior, a fighter for justice, and a counselor. I personally like him as a rebel, karma yogi, a doer, and an art lover. If I look at Krishna's pictures, blowing Panchjanya, his conch, or moving Sudarshan, his disc on his finger, a symbol of time, in the moment of injustice, picking up a broken wheel of a chariot to fight against the injustice and bring justice. Krishna is a hero. Krishna is an advisor. Krishna is a warrior. Krishna was rebel from the birth or an angry warrior. If I look at Krishna from all these angles, I just want to go back to from where his life began, where he was born, brought up and grew. A divination of Narad to Kansa, his uncle, that eighth son of his sister Devaki will be his slayer. Kans was really in panic. He made arrangements of, you can say, killing all those kids who will take birth at his sister's place. One can imagine a child, a baby in the womb of his mother and living under the shadow of death, the psyche of a mother. And as has been said, that psyche of a mother always affects the embryo also and the baby inside. So just imagine a child, a baby, under the influence, under the effect of, you can serious threat of on his life. Krishna, he was thinking of survival. He was always hearing to be protected. Just now imagine that a cow, and he went to Gokul, he was sent to Gokul to one of the main chieftain of Gokul, Nanda, who was a cowherd, who was a shepherd, and fought against tyranny as a dictator. One psychology which I find and I learned from Krishna, if I just enter into his mind, that he was hearing, always save him, protect him. So somewhere save and protect were the words which entered into his mind, and he was saving the people later. I go back to Kans Darbar or his royal court, where Anarth was his minister, and Gargacharya was there, who was their Rajguru. And Anarth and Gargacharya, they both wanted to save the eighth child of Devaki. Gates of prison were not broken. It was conspired to break them open. It was planned escape. and a small child reaches to Gokul, where he becomes friends to poor, handicapped, and peasant children, raising questions: why demigods be worshipped? Who is rain god? Indra. Why Indra is worshipped? Even he ate, distributed, and of the offerings of which were meant for Indra to his friends before Krishna's incarnation of God descended from the sky. Just think of Ram of Treta Yuga, always tried to be God from the sky, created his boundaries so that he could emulate a god, while Krishna, a hero, a leader who wants to be a human. Krishna, soft, good looking, complete human, and with the principle, with a saying, eat generously, feed generously, love generously, live fully, a life full of moments, taught love with absolute submission, and save people even at the stake of your own life. Krishna, one side he was a great yogi. He was always into a state of equanimity. On the other side, he was also relishing, enjoying, rejoicing every moment of life in the material world also, though completely detached, fully reincarnation and fully renunciating each and everything. Fought for rights. Just imagine that milk of Gokul was usually being snatched or being wasted. How he managed that the milk and the milk products of Gokul should be sold after, if it is saved after consumption for the local people. So likewise, if I look at his attack on Kansa, the dictator, the tyranny, and he established democracy. He could have been the king of the place, but he had offered the kingdom to the most loved and liked person, Ugrasen, his grandfather. And he was awakening people, a rebel like Annie Gandhi, Annie JP, Annie Vinoba, Annie Che Guevara. He just got the throne and he never thought of becoming the king himself. Now, if I look at Krishna for more, he knew whatever the weaknesses he had. He knew whatever the strengths of that person were. Even when I look at him, that if he was having not so many people to fight with other evils together, so he just went into a guerrilla kind of the warfare. And though he was known as Ranchhod Das, but if I look at it, it was not an escape. It was more a refreshing break. It was attack and run. Survival is a vital force for living and victory. Save yourself for others. That was the motto of Krishna. If I look at Krishna as a lover, a shepherd boy falls in love with a shepherd girl, Radha. Though Yadav, a Kshatriya, a warrior girl, Draupadi was also in love with him. And she could not take the place which Krishna had for Radha in his mind and in his heart. Neither in Krishna's heart Radha was, anybody could replace it, her, or Draupadi could attain a position what Radha was having. And if I look at the love side, Krishna as a Bal Krishna, he was very fond of Radha and was in love with Radha. As young boy, he was with Draupadi. He felt that Krishna is Krishna and Krishna, as they were named. Now, as adult, Satyabhama and Rukmani, and 16,000 other women to whom he emancipated by just giving them the names and giving them the status of a wife, which otherwise they were the destitute ladies who have been ruined, spoiled, and at the same time bad named by the society. Not only love, but he got Radha worshipped. He brought love to the highest level, and a lady who was worshipped before his name. That's why we call Radha Krishna. Radha became the source of his energy. Radha became motivator. Radha became Shakti that neither Rukmani nor Satyabhama could. Radha and Krishna, one name, bringing Rukmani to his palace after getting married to her. And that was not an hide and seek business. He had just fought and brought her. He was invited to be, you can say, taken and brought her to the new place and give her the status. Like Satyabhama, he fought and won her. Krishna lived a life as an open book. Whatever he did with
Pawan Sethhi somehow is muted. Can you unmute? I think by mistake is yeah.
If Ram was quiet, cultured, sweet and simple, Krishna is more complex, sharp, bright, acute in wisdom, and new hero of new era. Ram was accessible, Krishna was always inaccessible because Krishna could not be defined. At every moment he was different. Krishna had innumerous treaties and he had innumerous conflicts and wars also. Every day for him was a war. Every time there was some kind of or other kind of turbulence he was handling. That made him stronger. The assaults on his life from the childhood made him much more aggressive, much more stronger. The reason was that he was preparing himself for the bigger battles of life. Now, at the same time, I never saw Krishna crying. Like Rama cried at various incidences, at various situations, but Krishna might have got sometimes eyes which were glistened. At that time when Abhimanyu, a young lad, was trapped by 7 biggest warriors of their time and they slain him, they killed him, Krishna's eyes were wet. When Draupadi, despite her 5 husbands who were great warriors themselves, could not save Draupadi from the bad eyes and the bad hands of Kauravas, she helplessly summoned Krishna. That was the time when Krishna's eyes glistened. And especially in a patriarchal society where the head of the families were sitting together and they were watching mutely, at that time Krishna stood for a woman, and that shows in Krishna's Braj, man and woman were given equal rights. They had the same status. Even today, if we go to Vrindavan, we see that women tie small piece of their dupattas or chunni or their scarves on trees with the hope that Krishna will save them whenever they will need him. He is unparalleled in every state and every form. Krishna is closer to earth. Krishna is closer to nature. Bamboo flute, trees of Kadam, the cows, everything just to bring out the environment. And he is the person who is always protective for the nature. Krishna is a pandit or an exponent of human mind, reader of every mind, and at the same time, Atman, he can see Atman through. Example of Krishna's when he kills Kans. He understood the mind of Kans, that what he is going through. Otherwise, an 11-year-old boy and 13-year-old his elder brother, these two could have never killed such mighty people.
Just 5 minutes, sir. Just 5 minutes.
Krishna was motivating Arjun. He was at the same time he was using Shalya, the charioteer of Karn, and at the same time he in the ethical and unethical battles of life, Krishna motivated Arjun. and he demotivated Karna by using Shalya. That shows that how he was understanding the human mind. Krishna, if we just think of Krishna's Gita, the study of, while we say that psychology is study of soul in the ancient times, now in the modern times it can be mind and the behavior. Gita teaches us how to fight anxiety, tension from living of life, and at the same time, as science has progressed a lot but could not teach us how to live in peace, tension, and at the same time, anxiety-free life. Material life science can teach, but consciousness science cannot teach. That is the spiritualism which is needed. Here Gita comes, where Krishna brings a person who was really in disappointment, a person who was at that time in a confusion of when he had to perform his duty. At that time, Krishna brought the light, Krishna brought her the wisdom, Krishna brought him the message through that he has to perform his duty, let what may come. And at the same time, I see Krishna as one of the greatest teachers too, and a psychotherapist, because he had brought Arjun out of depression, out of anxiety, by just telling that just you look for your work, you just look for what your karma is, you look for what exactly is you are born for. Three important questions were there: from where you have come, why you have come, where will you go? And ask yourself, who am I? Once you understand who you are, that means you can understand everything very clearly. Now, I say that Gita brings out emotional stability, emotional crisis, emotional distress, moral dilemma, or whatever the perplexity is there. Only that one thing is important: your focus. Once we focus, then we can just achieve whatever we want. That was Krishna, and that was Krishna's way of responding to emotional situations of life. In the end, I would like to say, Krishna teaches us Satchidanand, that absolute chit, that absolute Anand, how to achieve it. And Krishna teaches us Atma is Brahman, that whatever is inside you, that is outside you. Within is without too. And that brings out the wisdom of Sthit Pragya, means stable wisdom. At last, I would like to say that when I see at Krishna from various moments of his life, I find may Krishna be a god or may not be. I don't know where the God is or God is not, but I feel whenever a person needs help, whenever there is injustice, if somebody picks up a broken wheel and fights for justice, I find God is still there, Krishna is still there. Thank you very much.